Hi, and welcome back to Actors Notes. This is essentially just a solo podcast where I give you my notes that I take either in acting class or what I've noticed from films or performances I've seen. I just jot down my thoughts, and a lot of them make sense to me. They may not make sense to others if they just read them from my notebook, but I noticed that a lot of the time when I talk to other actors and actresses, whether they're in my class or just people I meet on sets, they kind of face the same problems. And I'm thinking, I write this down. Why don't I just put this on social media? So this podcast is just my thoughts, my feelings to let you guys know that maybe if you're feeling the same way, you're not alone. I've felt this exact same thing, and I'm still going through this process. I want it to be clear that I am not a professional actor by any means. I'm a professional actor in terms of I book work, I've been on set, I've experienced what it feels like to be self-conscious in your own skin with your script and forgetting lines, and I've experienced many mistakes that I feel like if I share with you, not only you can learn from my mistakes and not make those mistakes, but you can feel related to. And that's just a big one. I've noticed a lot of podcasts or YouTube channels or just a lot of content on social media about acting. Just don't really talk about moments that I go through. And so I'm like, if I go through it, I know someone else goes through it. So I'm just going to make my own podcast and talk about those feelings. And I really wanted to talk about getting out of your own way. This goes to self confidence. This goes to performance anxiety when it comes to either being on set or in an acting class where you're supposed to make mistakes, where you're literally in front of other people who are just beginning, have no idea what's going on, people who are still experienced but still want to get those reps in and showing up to class, and your coach, whoever's there mentoring you. That's where you're supposed to feel the most free, but that might also feel like the most embarrassing or the most anxious. Don't even, you may not even be on set yet, let alone if you think about being on set, how you might feel then. Oh my gosh. I just remember showing up to class and then booking my first ever short film and showing up then. I was just in my hotel room. I was very grateful and very fortunate for that opportunity. Only about 6 months, 8 months into my acting career when I got established with an agency here in the Midwest. I was just in my hotel room. What if I mess up? What's going on? I remember, when we 3, 2, 1 action, messing up my lines, asking for those lines, but being professional as I did it, and still feeling that performance anxiety. I wanted to talk about a moment just recently in class where I noticed a good friend of mine, a good actor friend of mine. He was doing a monologue, and this monologue was based off the character Walter White from Breaking Bad. And the scene that he was doing for the monologue, I mean, if you think about Walter White, he's manly, he's serious, he's driven, and he's just stern with what he says. And my friend, we're just gonna call him John. John, as he was saying this monologue, you could hear the shakiness in his voice. You could actually see it was a very tight room. Excuse me. You could see his hands shaking because he held his monologue on his phone. Some people had a script, and we were just workshopping these monologues. We have been for a few weeks in my acting class. Just so if a casting director says, "Do you have anything prepared? Do you have a monologue or anything like that?" We have something in our tool belt. So we were just getting those reps in, and you could just tell he was shaky, and he was letting John was letting John get in the way of this monologue. And what I mean by that, and I think a lot of people can relate to this, is that the actor will get in their own way to the character becoming alive. What do I mean by that? Say your character in a scene stands up on the desk and starts dancing in front of the middle of a restaurant, and you're like, I would never do that. Why would I ever do that? I've seen maybe one or two people do that in my life in actual reality, but I would never do that. As embarrassing. You'd probably get kicked out. That's something that I wouldn't do. And I want you to say that again. That's something that I wouldn't do. But in your scene, that's what your character would do. So now you have conflict. You are getting in your own way from the character becoming alive to live that instance. You have to let that character live through you, but if you're getting in your own way, you're not letting that character truly live. Just like John's situation with this Walter White monologue, he was nervous to step up in front of only 10 of us, I believe, at the time. And yeah, everyone has stage fright. I have stage fright, but it's through that exposure of showing up to class. This is why so many casting directors, so many coaches, so many experienced actors say the same thing about if you're not working, show up to class. It could be about monologues, script breakdown, stage combat, improv, script work. I don't know what it is. There's so many different types of acting. Uta Hagen, Stella Adler, Sanford Meisner. There's so many different techniques that you could learn that if you are not working on set on a project, whatever it may be, even if it's a student film or independent film, whatever it is, if you're not doing that, you should be in class. Just like the gym. I freshly came out of the gym. By the way, ignore all this. It's my brother's birthday, and I surprised him by these balloons. He loves Pokemon cards, so I've attached these like Pokemon cards to them. And I wrote them. This is our shared office space, so I bet you were wondering, is he not going to address the happy birth? And then there was not enough room on the whiteboard to say day, so I just put day little right there. Anyways, back to it about you getting in the way of the character becoming alive. Now, I've experienced the same thing, and it is your job, if you do take this career as serious as you say you do, it's your job to stretch yourself in a way that if your character stands up on the desk and starts dancing and it's something that's embarrassing to you, go to that. Go to the fear. Go to the embarrassment. And experience it, especially in class. This is when you should stretch yourself, and it's uncomfortable. No one wants to feel that way. I didn't want to feel that way. But like I said, continue exposure. That's why it's called exposure therapy. If you're scared of something, if you're afraid of performing in front of a group of people, you have to do it once, and then again and again, and eventually you build that tough skin to it. Now, I don't want to get too sidetrack because I know I can talk quite a bit about getting in your own way as the character, but I really wanted to talk about, okay, Gio, I understand that this is, I feel embarrassed. Yeah, I don't want to get in my own way. What are some things to keep, these are things that I keep myself grounded. And you could be asking, okay, I need, actionable advice. And that's what I love about different podcasts, something that I can take away. So here are some things that I do that you can take away. First is journaling. Now, many people journal in different ways. Some people write down 3, 5, 10 things that they're grateful for. Some people have books already prompted with something that you can write down, whether it's in the morning or at night or in the evening. And you do that, or you write down anything. But for me, I think something very, very helpful as an actor, especially, is just writing down your thoughts, writing down how you feel in that moment. It doesn't have to be, or whatever's on your mind. Maybe it's a conversation you had a friend that still lingers with you. Maybe it was a moment in acting class that you felt embarrassed by, that you wanted just to write down what happened. And when you write down, this is the most important part about journaling, even if you don't have a prompt like this. Whatever you write down, don't judge yourself for maybe misspelling. Maybe the sentence doesn't make any sense. Maybe you didn't put punctuation where it should be. Just write down your thoughts unapologetically, just purely, authentically. Just write it down. This is important because it allows yourself to just be free in what you feel, in what you think. That's the biggest roadblock, that when actors get in their own way from letting the character live in a scene, is that they are filtering so many different things. They're thinking inside their head so much. Is what I say okay for the director? Is what I say believable? They're thinking about, is this a believable performance? Whether you're on set or in an acting class, you're thinking about so many things because you're filtering it. When you're journaling, you take off all those filters and you just write. And this just trains that muscle to, no matter how you feel, what you think, how you might look when you write down all these thoughts that come about, they're just free. That's how I've felt. So hopefully you can take that away and do that. Another thing too is embrace that feeling of embarrassment. Embrace the feeling of the stage fright. And I love the quote, whatever podcaster, social media mentor said it best, but courage is just the feeling of fear and doing it, or doing something despite the feeling of fear. We all feel afraid. We all go through these moments of stage fright, and we have that, the heart is pounding. We all feel that way. But doing it anyway, that's courage. And so embracing that feeling of embarrassment or feeling scared even. A lot of people say, I turn my nerves into excitement. I've heard this from Tom Holland when he said it in an interview way back when. I can't recall it, but I just remember seeing a clip of him saying, I turn my nerves into excitement. This is amazing advice, great advice. However, we feel the way that we feel for a reason. It's in either our natural biology, and I don't think that you should turn your feelings into something that it's not. I think you should just embrace that feeling. If you feel scared. But like I said, what courage is, it's feeling that fear, feeling that scaredness, that embarrassing, and doing it despite of that. And so when you feel stage fright, we all feel that way. Just continue on, embrace that fear. Don't turn it into something that it's not. And that goes to how the journaling, just free flowing, feel what you feel, think what you think. It's totally natural. Don't turn it into something that it's not, like a filter. You're taking in something, but you're filtering it into something else. Let it come to you the way it should be, natural, raw, and authentic. And this just trains that muscle to just allow you to be yourself and not get in your character's way to live. Oh, this is a big one. Here is the paradox of not caring. This kind of goes to not letting a performance get to you. Whether you auditioned for something, sent in a self-tape, performed in front of a class, a lot of the time when you do, embrace that feeling of nervousness, embarrassment, whatever it is that you're scared, and you perform, and then after class you're like, "Ooh, I should have said that line a different way." Or maybe you booked something and then you delivered a line to the other actor or whatever situation you are on this project, and you're like, "Oh, why did I do that? That was stupid." What? We all feel that way. And so here's the paradox of not caring. I'm going to just refer to, say, an audition in this case, and I can expand after. When you do a self-tape, when you get a self-tape, sometimes it's a 24-hour turnaround, meaning you get sent a self-tape, and then within 24 hours, you need to send it back. So in that 24 hours, and it's 48, sometimes it's 72, sometimes you have a week, maybe even longer than that, to prep for a scene, and everyone's preparation is different. When you get a script, I mean, this is just one page. You could have entire, 5 pages of monologue to prep for. But when you get a script, you have to do your script breakdown. I ask myself the questions: who am I? Where am I? What's my goal in the scene? What do I want? How do I feel about what this other character or other characters in the scene is saying to me? How do I feel about that? And then making a bold choice. Everyone talks about bold choice. Bold choice to me is just your interpretation on how this character is portrayed. Do they stand up a little bit more straight and deliver the line? That's a bold choice. Or are they more just chilled and relaxed? That's still a bold choice. I think a bold choice to me, is just being you. And so here's the paradox of not caring. We have to prep for the scene, and we we put in our homework, our time, our energy. We break this down and we really try to become this character or let this character live through us, however you view a script breakdown, how you view acting. And we put all of our time and energy into it and we submit for it. A lot of the time, some of us just hope. We say, okay, that was a good audition. I know I'm going to book this one. And we wait and we wait and we wait. And I think one of the things that I've experienced, I'm like, why does no one talk about this enough? Is that no one tells you when you don't book an audition. No one tells you if you were close. Because you'll hear things of a callback or a veil, meaning what's your availability for these certain dates. Because when casting directors are looking at you and whoever is looking at you, they're saying, okay, you made it to the final round. You got a call back. It's between you and these other, four other actresses or actors, and those are amazing moments. Don't mean I'll get to that, but going to the point of no one tells you if you book something if you didn't is not only nerve wracking if you have that hope, but it's something that's just I feel like it's a trap that a lot of actors fall into. And it's one of the biggest reasons that I can see why actors stop, why actors stop pursuing this career. It's because there's this amount of rejection that we don't even hear, but we feel that we know, because we don't hear that we didn't get a job offer. But after a month, we're like, yeah, I probably didn't book that. Oh, I probably didn't book that one. I didn't hear nothing about that. And it's like this false hope that you have. So the paradox of not caring is that when you send a self-tape, when you send an audition, forget about it. Almost like don't care about it. You put all this time and energy into breaking down a script, whether you have 24, 48, 72, a week to prep for it, and you pour yourself into a scene, whether you're emotional or just adrenaline run, and then you submit for it, and then you forget about it. Of course, you might have dates that you have to save, and there might be conflicts that you have to deal with there that might take an effect, but I think that's just the best route that we really needed to. When I mean we, I mean like anyone who talks about their acting journey, is that when we send in a self-tape, just forget about it. That's my best bet, other than this false hope. And when I think about callbacks and a veil, it might be even worse. It's better, but it's worse. There's the paradox, because when you get a callback, you're like, "Oh, I made it to the final round," or a veil, like, "Oh, they're thinking about me because I need to have these dates available. They're just making sure," and then maybe you don't get it, or maybe you do. But there's still that waiting period of you're hoping, you're hoping. There's so many variables, and I feel like I should leave with this too. There's so many variables on why you didn't get chosen for a audition, for a self tape, why someone went a different route than may have expected, but you looked at this character description and you're like, I fit the specs perfectly. I'm 6 foot, I have dark hair, I have brown eyes, I can speak in this accent, I portrayed this character exactly how they wanted to. Why didn't I get this job? Why did they? And they're not even fitting the description. There's so many different variables. Maybe the other character, the other actress, the other actor in the scene fit a different spec that the other actor that booked over your spot, they just fit and tied better with that character, and that was the main reason. Maybe what? If you want to play with hypotheticals, then by all means go ahead. But here with me, I pour myself into a script, I send it out, and I forget about it. Even if I have conflicting dates. If here's maybe listen to this. Even if I have two auditions and they both conflict with each other, I still send it in. I mean, what's gonna happen? I think it's a joy. It's a beautiful thing to book both. If you do, and you're like, oh, now I can deal with that conflict. Just do it anyway. Just do it anyway. What, you're gonna book one, not book the other? At least you did both. You didn't book either? At least you did it. And one of the biggest things too, I know I'm rambling here, but I'm really getting into this. One of the biggest things is that you are still being seen. Act as if that self tape is your moment to shine in a movie, as if you were actually there with whoever is maybe you don't know who the other lead actor or who you're going to be directed by, whatever room you want to be in. Excuse me. Text. Um, but just take that moment as your time to shine. And you don't know who's seeing you, because a lot of people remember a good performance. They remember, ooh, he might be good for another project that I have coming up. I'm going to make sure I send his agent or him directly or her or their manager that audition when I'm ready to film that movie. There's so many variables that go into it, that are good, that are not so good, that are great, that are amazing. And if you have this false hope on what if, you're going to tear yourself apart. I've faced this. I know a lot of people have. And yeah, these are actors' notes. These are things that I'm still going through. I haven't figured it out completely. And I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below about, okay, here's some, besides journaling, here's some other ways that I've really embraced um, being myself and embrace that feeling of embarrassment um, during a performance, whether it's on set, in class, or your experience with performance anxiety, or how you feel, your thought process on a script breakdown, or even how you go about self tapes. I'd love to hear it down below, and I appreciate you watching. And in case no one has told you it today, I love you. You matter. You have value. And let me say something I haven't said before. Acting is, a lot of it is psychology. If you have what is it, psychological background? If you study psychology in school, good for you, great. A lot of acting is psychology. We're just dealing with people, with human emotions. We're all human. We all feel this way. Remember that. The director, famous A-list actors, we've all felt the same way. We've just continued to embrace it and move on with it. And if you can do that, that is something to be hugely proud of. To feel that way, continue to pursue this career, because it is tough, but it is so worth it if it's truly what you want. I think that's a great place to stop. And I'll see you in the next one.